Good morning, gents. It's Monday. I'm still a little groggy. Waking up, put my best tie dye on. It's time to go. It's time to get ratchetdemic. So, this discussion board, I just want you to listen to this. I don't know what I'm doing here, pontificating or whatnot. I don't want to think I'm pontificating. I'm not really that type of person. But, anyways, I saw two great sermons yesterday, of course, online, right? One by a Reverend Lori Maker from Oklahoma City, and Buffalo Zone Matt Lincoln out of Trinity Episcopal downtown there. So they kind of gave their thoughts, and I took some notes. Their thoughts kind of affirmed my thoughts, so I thought, man, let's talk about it a little bit, bring some science into it, and then you guys can talk about it on the discussion board. All right. The gospel yesterday was that John's gospel, where about the blind man, right? Where Jesus makes the mud, puts the mud on the guy's eyes, and voila, the dude can see. Um, and then the Pharisees went after Jesus, trying to goad him into being the bad guy, right, for performing a miracle on the Sabbath. And, Jesus not having any of it. Um, it's a very provocative gospel, right? It's been misinterpreted throughout history, right? Um, because Jesus is going after the Pharisees who are Jewish, so people use this as an anti Semitic um, Bible verse. Um, the Nazis used it, right? There's been an increase in violence against Jews, even in recent history. See the shooting at the synagogue in Pittsburgh, right? Um, but enough on that. Let's talk about this a little bit. Jesus is talking about um, two different ways of seeing blindness, right? Physical blindness, like I can't see anything, and then metaphorical blindness, right? The inability to understand or perceive truth, objective truths in per se, right? The thing about objective truth is that it's true whether you believe it or not, right? There's where the objective. So we have a lot of objective truths in science. Okay, so one of the disciples asked Jesus, uh, Master, did this man sin or did his parents sin that he was born blind? Right, and so we got to think in context of that day. What did you had? You had all these people around who were judging, right? A lot of people, a lot of people who judged, right? And then you had the science denying religious wackadoos of the day. That's why you had a lot of them, right? Denying those objective facts, and we kind of give them a little leeway because we say, they weren't as smart as us, right? They didn't have all that knowledge that we have today. But is that true? Right? Is that true? In the 1990s, the National Science Foundation started putting out these surveys, and the objective of these surveys was to see how science literate, if you will, or to judge science understanding here around the world. And it found out that adults in the U.S. were a lot less likely to believe in the objective truths of science than any other adults in any other developed nation, right? Concepts like evolution, climate change, the Big Bang Theory, right? All were put underneath religious beliefs, right? And why? Maybe because people want to inoculate themselves from struggle and pain, right? Bad things happen to bad people. It's just an inconvenient truth for them that, hey, life just happens, right? So Jesus looks at these disciples, and he's not having any of that question, right? Um, he rejects the premise of the question, indeed, right? He says that neither his parents nor he has sinned. Remarkable. He rejects that question. That no, it's not truth that bad things happen to bad people, right? He's rejecting this religious superstition, if you will. And then the scriptures go on, or at least they appear to go on, all right, to say that the man was born blind so that God can prove a point, right? And preachers use this, right, to kind of drum up fear, right, to kind of collect those, especially those televangelist preachers, right, and collect those peoples to gain a bigger flock, right? The hurricanes happened because we did something wrong. This earthquake happened because they're not Christians. COVID-19 is happening because we got to change our ways and repent and come to this church and give money. It's what they do, right? So, except, right, Jesus didn't actually say that, right? So that would be in the third verse of this passage. And if you look back into the original Greek transcripts of this, it doesn't exist. This doesn't exist, right? Jesus never said that, right? This is what he actually said. This is what's in the original manuscripts. Neither he nor his parents sinned, period. If God's works are to be revealed in him, we must work the works of God. That's what he meant. This is revealing, right? It's a rallying cry for us to love one another, to promote God's healing powers, to be inclusive, to care for one another. That's what it's about. No more believing that a person's misfortunes, right, are some sort of divine punishment. No more allegiances to religious legalities, if you will, that make it acceptable for the haves to separate themselves from the have-nots. Right? When we see suffering, when we see isolation and uncertainty, we should know that God's already sad about this, right? He's mourning this, right? But he expects us to be about the holy work of reconciliation, inclusion, and care. It's on us. God didn't will this on us, but he does expect us to treat others with dignity, respect, care. All right, we know that the blind man can now see, both physically and sees the divine in Jesus and the rest of us. And Jesus then rebukes the Pharisees, right? He tells us that they give more devotion to their laws than they do to the revelation of God. That's pretty powerful. Let's put this in another perspective, a scientific perspective, if you will, a cosmic perspective, right? When we look at God from a cosmic perspective, you can't help but see that we are linked to everyone around us. Indeed, everything around us, plant, tree, rock, dogs, cats, everything. As well as the past, the present, and the future universe. Whoa. Now that's a divinity that I can wrap my head around. Kind of, or at least that I can get behind. I don't know if I can wrap my head around it. Right? We were once particles somewhere in the universe, in a star, maybe in another planet. And now we're here in the present. And then when we pass, our particles will once again be part of the universe, this divine universe. Interesting. So chew on that for a second, respond to the discussion board, and we'll be talking to you, eh? Watch out for them moose, eh? Make sure they don't stop out your campfire now. Have a good one, guys.